What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the South Point Podcast. My name is Carlos Tello, and here with me today are two people who keep judging me because I believe in science. Craig and Patti Wendell, how are we doing today?
We're good.
Amazing. Wonderful. Really
a little
groovy.
cold, but other than that,
A little cold.
having a little warm drink so I can stay warm.
Yeah. People are like, what is that all about?
What, the cold of the drink?
If you missed the last episode, Not Your Leave It, we got to quote that movie every time we do this.
Yes.
It's tradition.
One of the best lines ever.
Tradition.
Hey, if you're joining us for the first time ever, first, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us. This episode is going to be about, as of today's recording, yesterday's message.
Yep.
So if you didn't attend church yesterday or you didn't join us online, pause this episode, go back and check us out on YouTube or our podcast stream. The message is available right there, right now. And
Otherwise, this is not going to make any sense.
It's not going to make much sense.
Make a little sense.
Yeah, you might learn a little bit.
He might make it make more sense if you watch it. I don't know. Maybe
You
not.
may not.
Maybe not.
There's still a lot to learn here, so I hope you have your notepads and little note sheets ready.
Yep.
Pen, get your pen out and a piece of paper and all that, and just take some notes with us. Be lifelong learners as we are here at South Point Church. First of all, y'all doing okay today, though? Everything going
I'm doing
good?
well.
Good.
Yesterday was really good.
Oh.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
You can. You're the host.
I did. I said that. Yesterday's message
You
was
said it.
super, super good. There was just all kinds of things that went on.
So many.
You knocked over a chair one service that I was a part of. You sang yesterday.
I did. Joy to the world. And I made up lyrics after that. It was great.
There was people around me who went, oh.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
It's quality singing right here.
People
Quality.
who don't sit by him have no idea how bad his singing really is.
Hey, but I love to worship, man. I'll sing it.
That's
Yep.
right.
Loud and proud.
Without abandon. Let's see.
Without abandon. And I pick my own key.
That's right. People assumed that you were going to say a certain word, and certain people had no self-control out there. Some of y'all, they were on Patty's side of the room, by the way.
But it wasn't me.
It wasn't you.
No.
Okay, I was wondering.
Because I said, hey, when you're on your high and holy pedestal, you assume, and then I paused, and I said, we all know what assume means, right? And then people just started cussing
You said
in church.
beep, and somebody
Didn't
just
say
straight
beep.
up said it.
Yep.
Loud.
So
Loud
that
and
hey,
proud.
Very loud.
wouldn't have South Point any other way. It's come as you are.
We've always said if you don't get cussed out at South Point, then you've not been to church, right?
I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, and he was like, I've never felt more welcome in this place. I said, dude, this is a place where you can come as you are. You can be tatted up. You can say whatever you say. You can cuss in church, and it's totally okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can have a pastor that sings a little off key.
A little.
Not just a
A
little.
little bit. Some of the highlights from yesterday, you create the climate you breathe. I thought it was super good going into some things you were saying. We talked about discernment, dogs and pigs and pearls.
Oh, my.
Not a lot of reaction to that.
No.
Have you ever heard that? Lions and tigers and bears?
Lions and
Is time getting on to where that's no longer a thing?
I don't know if people just aren't watching The Wizard of Oz anymore or not, but yeah.
Do y'all like the Wizard of Oz? Y'all Wizard of Oz fans?
We saw The Wizard of Oz at the Sphere, and it was in
Oh,
Las Vegas.
wow.
It was absolutely the coolest thing I have ever seen. The movie, it just made it totally different. But anyway, it's a 4D experience. Like, they've got stuff blowing through
Yeah.
the room and everything on. So yes, if you can make that happen, because it's really worth it.
We could go into all that stuff.
No.
Musicals? Yeah,
No.
I'm not either. I don't really like musicals that much. I've never really been a fan. We're totally off on a tangent here. Never been a fan of the Wizard of Oz, but, I digress. Let's see. The most Christ-like thing you can do is disengage. And
That was probably my favorite thing.
That was my
all day.
favorite thing, too. And you talked
I could have
about
saved 29 minutes by just
just said
saying
that.
that.
just that one thing.
Right.
Some of you out there are going, well, I have some questions. I have some comments on the message. Well, we have a text number, by the way. It's 662-253-8338. On Sunday mornings, text your questions in. We had the number on the screen as you were going through the sermon. I thought that was fantastic.
Yep.
Some of you probably were listening at certain points. And again, go back and listen, but it's too late to do questions for this
question.
Yeah.
for this
Because
podcast.
we're doing it
we got a
right
bunch.
now.
It's too late for that. But next Sunday, be ready. You're already on your phones anyway. Text a question for Pastor Craig if something stands out, because there's a lot stood out for me.
Yeah.
And I thought that when you were talking about the media dumpster fire and the types of people that flock to that, as we're talking about the dogs and the pigs, there was just I attribute it to like social media when there's hot topics, when there's political posts, sports drama, celebrity, whatever. People tend to flock to these like comments. Are you guys jump
Some
in the
people
comments?
just troll it because it's funny to read the comments.
Yeah.
But there are some people that just feel like they can't not comment. They've got to get on there. They've got to be heard. They've got to put their voice out there. It just adds to the stress. It puts you more into it to actually comment. I mean, trolling it and reading it's one thing, but getting engaged with all of that drama that's going on because of this one thing, it's more than I can handle. It's just, no, I'm out.
That's why I just don't.
You don't.
No.
I mean, I have some social media accounts. I'm rarely on them because it just, and I've shared this months ago, but I learned that it just creates so much stress in me, and my life is better without the stress. So I have enough things to make me stressful. So I don't need to add the doom scrolling and all of that stuff.
I like seeing the memes of the guy with the giant popcorn, and he's just like, he's just looking at all the comments
Just reading
on there,
the comments.
reading the comments.
Just here for the comments.
But it does take some self-control. That's kind of what I took out of it. To disengage and walk away. You're talking about the family setting as we're in this holiday season. Obviously, things are, and just as you said it yesterday, I had like an invite from, to go to a family function, and like the comments were like, I was like, I had to put it on mute for a minute because there was just so much going on. And I didn't disengage, but I kind of politely disengaged, but I just put it on mute. I'm like, you know what? I'll get to it when I can. Is there anything else people can do just to politely go, you know what, I'm just going to back off a little bit?
Well, I think just what you said, especially when it's a group text message or something like that, just putting it on mute or not feeding into it, like Patti was saying. Yep. Because when you feed into it, the minute you say something, all it does, they're going to have to come back, because it goes back to that, we talked about dogs and pigs, and I think there's some questions that we'll get to in a minute to extrapolate that out a little bit. But it's behavioral. There's some behavioral things about those animals that Jesus picked that we can learn from, and it's this response, right? When you say something into a text thread or a conversation sitting around the table or with friends out to eat or whatever, and it might already be a touchy subject, right? So probably don't even bring that subject up. Yep. But if it's already been brought up, you don't have to lean into it. There's something in us that's like, oh, I've got to say this. I've got to make this happen. And it's just like, just stop. You
don't have to.
You don't have to.
So I actually went back and looked up why dogs return to the vomit, because dogs do that. I mean, we have dogs. Our dog literally threw up today, and then she wanted to go back and eat it, and it just grosses me out. I'm like, no, don't do that. But so I looked it up. I'm like, why do they do that? And it's actually like part of their survival instinct. It is part of but from being raised in nature, it's their survival instinct of, I've got to get rid of this before a predator comes along and realizes that I've been here. So they're getting ready. They're getting rid of the traces of them being there. But what survival instinct is it in us that says, if I don't speak, I'm one to want to be heard. I want to make sure that I'm heard and I'm heard clearly. So it is my survival instinct sometimes to go, no, you misunderstood what I said, or you misunderstood what I posted or whatever, and I want to comment back. But I have to just step back and go, yeah, but it's not worth it. It's not worth the drama. It's not worth it. I've been here. I've been here. Yep. There's a trail of me being here. You're just going to know I've been here, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to try to cover my tracks.
It'd be like that. I think of it with what you're saying, like that defense mechanism.
Yep.
We put the walls up to protect that childlike person in us. And like I said in the Sunday message, how would your holiday things be better if we just, in the middle of one of those moments, just said, hey, hold on a second. Maybe I'm the one with the problem. You talk about lowering the walls and just saying, maybe I'm the one with the problem. And one thing I noticed with all these questions, which, by the way, great job.
Absolutely.
Texting questions. There were so many. It was awesome.
Yep.
There's no way we're going to get to all of them today. But
not all of them.
Thank you for doing it. They were all on the other person. There was no questions on.
Nobody had the 2x4 come out their eyeball.
How do I lower the wall for me to help get rid of the beam in my eye? And I think that just shows overall we're still in this mode of it's the other person, it's the other person, it's the other person. And Jesus was very clear. He says, yeah, the other person's got stuff. Sure, we all do. But we start with us. Yeah. We start with us.
Is it
You have
easier?
to start with us.
Go ahead. Is it easier, would you say, when those arguments come up, that they label someone as an easy target, as we're talking about labeling people as such, and then they judge accordingly without, like you said, not getting that 2x4 at their own eye? Is it just like they feel an entitlement, like maybe like what's the term, the keyboard warriors out there who go after people like that? Is that, do you think that's just like, well, they are that person, so I have the right to say something to them?
Yeah, maybe.
You know
Sure.
what? I read somewhere one time, somebody said, dead men don't have rights. And what we have to realize is that if we are truly dying to self, then those rights are gone. We don't have the right to step into those, that right to step in and that right to correct. If we're truly dying to self and we're truly killing our flesh every day, then dead men don't have rights. We don't have a right to do that.
And let me just say this, shameless plug. She read that in my first book that I wrote. So there you go.
Hey.
Bada bing.
Yes. That was never published.
How do you know you're doing it right as far as
Which part?
correcting someone? We talked about judging.
How do you know
the
if you're...
difference between correcting and judging?
Oh, okay. So the words that I use Sunday,
Yeah.
and you can't change these words, in my opinion, because there's a very deeper purpose behind the words. It was being a discerning critic. And so not a graceful critic, not a merciful critic, a discerning critic. And that word discerning, it's also a gift of the Holy Spirit to discern. But even outside the gift of the Holy Spirit, I feel like we all have a sense of discernment, right? If you're not in the church world, you might say, "Oh, I had a red flag on that." Okay, cool. But we're in the Christian context, so let's take the gift of the Spirit and put that into play. Yep. I believe that you should discern when to be a critic and when not. And that discernment is not just when to and when not to, it's at what level and how much do you push. So, for example, I think, if I remember, one of the questions talked about, how do you know, I have a family member that they really struggle with alcohol, but they talk about it, but they don't say they have a problem, but they really do have a problem.
Yep.
Okay, well, that takes some discernment, because I don't know these people, so if that's an addiction, if they're an alcoholic, well, the first step, genuinely, it's AA, the 12-step program, but the first one is very true. You have to admit you have a problem.
Right.
Right.
And so if the person is not admitting they have a problem and you are just constantly telling them they have a problem, well, back up, because all you're going to do is shut the door, and push them away, and it's just going to be ugly. But then you don't need to go to the other side where it's, I'm now an enabler, and we're now in a codependent.
Hey, let's talk about this over a beer.
Yeah, let's not do that, right?
Right.
And so it's discerning, and that's a hard one to answer, only because I don't feel like there's one answer for every situation. I think you have to discern, and that's where you talk to the Lord, and that goes into the getting the beam out of your own eye, meaning we submit to the Lord and we bring these people to the Lord in prayer. Yeah. And there's some people in my life with these different situations, not the alcoholic one, but just different situations.
Just weed.
Just weed. And what I do is I pray specifically when I'm praying for them. I pray, Lord, give me an open door into their soul. And what I mean by that is number one, it makes me pay attention to every time I'm talking to them. We can be talking about football or whatever, but I'm paying attention. And when there's just a crack. A moment, then I discern that, and I step in with correction or criticism or whatever fits. And I think that's just really walking with the Holy Spirit. And
I think also go back to your first point that you completely skipped over. Maybe don't have a conversation with someone about an issue in their life that you haven't already prayed about. If you're not praying about them in your own time and in that own situation, then you probably don't. You're just seeing it in the moment and wanting to speak into it, but it's not really bothering you enough to actually carry it in your heart and carry it into your prayer time and to carry it into your your time with the Lord and be like, Lord, I really need this I need this door to be open. I need this. So a really good marker is, if you haven't prayed for them about that situation in the last 6 months, probably don't step into that situation, because you obviously are just being an opportunistic
and it
speaker at that point.
Could be you're trying to fix them.
Right.
And we learned Sunday, it's not our responsibility to fix the people in our circle. We take them to the Lord in prayer, and we believe that he's going to give us open doors and windows to be able to speak in a discerning manner.
Yeah, one of the things you said was hurt people. So that goes along with that. You're
taking that 2x4, buddy, and just
get that out.
spearing
real
them.
quick, can you give a quick little definition of discernment for those who just don't understand what that might mean?
Oh, okay. That's a great question,
Because
Carlos.
if new to the team, I should say, may not understand what that is.
It is. This is a correct definition. You don't need to look it up in any theological commentaries or anything like that.
What book is it in?
It's in the book of Craig. The book of Craig.
Oh, goodness. Oh, we could be in trouble.
It's seeing things that are unseen. And so you're sensing things that you might be looking, you have a sense in you about something that you're seeing, but you're sensing it in you.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you have actual knowledge about. It's not something that you have physical knowledge about. It's not something that you know in the real world.
Yep.
It's something that pops into your head, and you're like, oh, I don't know that, but I feel this about this situation. Yep. It's being more guided by the Spirit than just saying, oh, well, I happen to know they're an alcoholic. Well, no, maybe the Lord's trying to tell you something that you don't know in the natural.
Yep. Yeah, some of you out there probably can sense when something's wrong with someone and you don't understand what that is. Well, that's what it is.
Yep.
And there are different ways to find out what your spiritual gift is. That's not a topic for today, but that's a topic for another day.
Yep.
But that is one of the spiritual gifts you can have. So two of the questions that so many people send in, and a lot of them are family boundaries.
Yeah.
Adult children, one who maybe has continually caused issues, who are trying to come back. Do you hold them accountable? Kind of looping a few of these together. If someone chooses to leave, is that the dusting your feet off, as you mentioned? Is that what that means? Is that the kind of separation he intended? So kind of gave you three little examples here.
Let me speak to the adult children one. I think we may have talked about this book. We've talked about it in sermons before. But if you have children that are getting to be like the junior, senior in high school, or even older, and you're trying to navigate, we read a book that really helped us, and we have encouraged every parent that we've come along since then. It's called Doing Life with Your Adult Children by Jim Burns. And I love this tagline that goes under it: keeping your mouth shut and the welcome mat out. Because the difference between being a parent and being a parent of an adult child is the difference between being a parent and a guide. You're going to eventually get to be where you can be that guide person. So your boundaries are going to be different.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they're going to have the opportunity to set boundaries, and you're going to have to respect those boundaries, which I think is a lot of times even harder than setting your own boundaries, is respecting somebody else's boundaries. And your grown children are going to have boundaries that you might not even agree with, but you have to respect them because you've taught them how to have boundaries and how to have, if you've taught them well, you've taught them how to have clear boundaries and to stand up for their boundaries. So you can't not do that when it actually comes back at you.
And we as parents try our best.
Yeah.
We give it a shot, don't we?
We do.
We give it a shot.
We do.
So I'm going to try and break your three down here a little bit. One of them, I think, was how to protect our peace when we're dealing with these family members who look down on us for our faith and maybe even make fun of us for our faith and disconnect and all that stuff. And how do we have those relationships with boundaries? And we'll talk about boundaries in a second. But how do you do that and still love them, right? How do you do that and still love them? Well, boundaries. But then you also have to define what love is. Love is not. Let me start at the end and go backwards. Love is not an ushy-gushy feeling. You know, we've got that in our country, and we think that that's what it is. That's just not. Love is a choice. And if you're wondering what that choice looks like, it looks like 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Look at me even knowing
there
where
you
it
go.
was.
Oh,
Come
the
on.
actual,
There you go.
she actually knew the chapter this time.
1 Corinthians chapter 13 is known as the love chapter. And it said, a couple of them. Love is patient. Love is kind. And so
Keeps no record of wrongs.
all of those things, just go back and read that chapter in the Bible.
It's at every wedding you go to.
It is, isn't it? Including the ones I do. Anyway, so loving them is not this feeling. Loving them is a choice, no matter what they're doing. Love is, you're being a turd, and I'm still going to be kind to you. You're being a whatever, fill in the blank. You're acting this way. You're continually acting this way. Your behavior is this way. I'm still going to be kind, and that kindness is me showing you love.
Yep.
But in all of that, and in most of these questions, the real
Root.
nutshell of it, the root of it, is boundaries, right? And so I'm going to ask you what boundaries are in just a second. There's a difference between boundaries and barricades, okay? Barricades are what a lot of people set up, and they think they're boundaries. She's going to tell you what boundaries are in just a second, but we set up boundaries, but they're actually barricades. And what I mean by that is we put up barricades, meaning no matter what, you are never allowed back into my life. You are done. I am done with you. Boom. Even if you got saved and life transformed and now you are Jesus Christ superstar.
Yeah.
Right.
That might not be a good example, but anyway, you're really good. It's a barricade. I don't care the change and the goodness that you've incurred in your life. You are no longer allowed back in. That is not scriptural or biblical, okay? But what we do want to set up is boundaries. Boundaries are incredibly healthy. What are boundaries?
Guardrails. But boundaries are, if you think about driving down the road, it's like guardrails on either side of the road. You can go from this side to this side, but you keep up these guardrails. But then there's also a point, if you think about this, it's a boundary of a country. You have to have permission to come into that country. Like we drove to Canada one time, and we had to show our passports to get into the country, and then we had to show them again to get back into the United States. We had to ask permission to go into that country. That's what a boundary is you setting a place of where I'm giving you permission to come this far into my life. As long as you have a passport, you stay within the boundaries, you do the rules of it's like I've built this country of my own.
Yep.
And I have this set of rules, this set of systematic things that make me who I am. And as long as you can accept those and you can respect those, then we can be in relationship. We can cross these boundaries. We can go into one another's countries. But if at any point you decide, well, no, I just want to run all over you. Nope, this boundary is here for a reason. And I'm not going to let you. Right, keeps you from being the doormat. Yes, because otherwise you're just like, well, it's my brother. I just have to do whatever. I mean, I have to let him run over. No, you don't. You absolutely don't. It's not healthy for you to. It's not only not healthy for you. It's not healthy for you to let him do that either, because you're just enabling him to continue his bad patterns and his bad things.
And another thing along with that is a lot of people have the conversation. The Scripture does say, honor your mother and father. Got it. So then as we each get older, okay, then I should set up boundaries with mom and dad. They're older, let's say, like even now, okay, we're
old enough to have grown kids.
Kids. All right. And so I still honor and respect my mom and dad, but there's boundaries in place to that. A boundary is not disrespectful. It's not dishonoring at all. It might look a little clunky at first, but the boundary keeps health in there. There's boundaries in my extended family that I have personally set up because things didn't go well and right. And that boundary is in place. Was there some discerning criticism that took place from Craig Wendell? Yes, there was. And so I didn't set up a barricade. I set up a boundary. As long as you're going to obey the laws of this country, you're more than welcome to come in and hang out and be a part of the family and, all that stuff.
Right.
But if you break one of the laws, well, you have to go back outside the boundary. And that allows a free flow. It also allows grace and mercy. It allows forgiveness to take place. It allows the opportunity for this person to get their life right or together or whatever and come back in. Because that should be what we're praying for them, right? We shouldn't be praying, God, kill them. I don't like them anymore.
I don't ever want to see them again.
It should be a free back and forth as long as you obey the boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the questions that we were asked too was, what if somebody does, come around to, okay, I want to be a better person and I want to come back into your life. That's fine. You can come back into my life. Boundaries help you to set up, okay, this is how far I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you. Okay, you have someone in your family who drinks, or somebody who does drugs or whatever, and you know that they just get messed up and then they might get in a car. Well, they might get in a car, but I can guarantee you none of my kids are going to get in the car with you because I don't trust you, because you might be trying, but I'm not going to just let my kids go with you, and because I don't trust that you are going to stay sober when you're trying to drive a car because you have this history or whatever that is. That doesn't mean you just open up that trust door completely. You have to still, those boundaries are in place, but it actually makes it good for everybody because it also helps them to know, what do I have to do to get back into your life? Yeah. Because setting up a barricade says you're never coming back in my life. And that's not healthy either. Not just setting up a barricade, I'm never going to let you back in. That's not healthy. Right. That's not Christian. That's not godlike. It's godlike to say, this is what it takes to be a part of my life again.
Yeah. Forgiveness is a gift. Trust is earned.
It goes the other way around, because if you're watching this now and you're outside that boundary of somebody else, you might need to fix yourself first.
Yep.
And listen, I've been there. I've had family members where I've had to set up boundaries, but it took a long time for me to get the right knowledge, the right way to do it, and good counseling. And then finally, it was like, okay, now I could. For me, it was working up the courage to set up a boundary, because that could be extremely difficult because there's years and years of being run over. And unless I made some kind of change, I was going to continue to be run over. And I was finally at the point where I was like, okay, that's enough.
And I think culture comes a lot into that too. There are some cultures that are like, I don't care what you say, I'm your mama and I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Yep. No, or I'm your dad and I'm going to, no, yep. I'm sorry. That doesn't, just because we're part of that culture doesn't mean that I'm going to allow you to run over me. I still can set up boundaries.
Yep.
When they separate, is that the kind of separation he intends by dusting your feet off?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for coming back to that.
Yep. Got it.
So I fast forwarded ahead in the book of Matthew to chapter 10, verse 14. Look at me even remembering that. Come on. This is the day of chapters and verses. Where Jesus tells, when he's sending the disciples out, and he says, hey, go do this, this, and this, and if a village, a family, or a town does not accept you, leave and shake the dust off your sandals. That's actually during that day and time, a very common Jewish thing.
Like a colloquialism almost.
Well, no, it was an action that they did. So when the Jews were walking, when they would walk through a Gentile town or village, when they got to the other side, they would shake the dust off of their feet, saying, we're not taking anything of them with us.
Oh, okay.
So I did bring that into this because I feel like it's still the same thing, because it is, we do need to go, but we need to know when to leave. And I think the key word to me in Matthew 10:14 is Jesus says, if they refuse. Refuse is a very powerful word.
Yep.
In other words, the message has been shared and they refuse, or they refuse it before they even hear you. So there's this, again, it's to this thing where I am going and I'm throwing it out there. I'm throwing out my pearls, if you will, my kingdom pearls before them, and they're refusing. Okay, well, I'm not going to keep throwing them before them. I'm going to shake the dust off my sandals and move on, because there's somebody, if you could just get locked into that one person and they're being ugly and they're trampling your pearls in the mud, there might have been a person right after them that was going to be receptive. So we have to keep going and keep taking the next step. Don't get bogged down, because then if you get bogged down in one person that's just ugly and mean and bleh, then that also defeats you.
Right.
There's lots of people that are open to the gospel and the kingdom message, and it's just don't stop. Just keep on trucking.
Yep. One of the questions sent in, kind of, you just mentioned pigs. What is the difference between dogs and pigs in the reference that Jesus makes?
You just mentioned pigs.
Yeah, you know. Got to transition these into
dogs and pigs yesterday.
Were you directing that at her?
I was just, whoever wants to.
You said her name. I was like,
I didn't say her name.
He didn't say my name.
I thought he.
I didn't.
Go ahead.
Anyway, can we just move on, Carlos?
We can move on.
So Jesus pulls out dogs and pigs, And it's kind of like a mini parable, if you will, because every time, there's lots of times where Jesus is telling a story, a parable, if you will, and he purposefully picks something that everybody knows. Like, you don't have to explain, you don't have to take the time to explain what a dog is, or a pig, or whatever.
Or even how they live.
Oh, right, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So he pulls out one thing, and you immediately, your brain already knows all of this stuff. Our job is to take all of that stuff, including the people in the ancient times. Our job is to take all of that random knowledge that we have about that thing and do the work to apply it to the principle that he's teaching. Like, one of his famous ones is mustard seed of faith, right? You can either read over that, or you can slow down and do some thinking about a mustard seed, the mustard tree. You know, there's all these things that you can learn so much and grow in. So dogs and pigs. So he chooses dogs and pigs. And so just all the things you know about dogs, let's just take dogs for a second. And
they're better than cats.
They are.
They're definitely better.
They're better than cats. I'm just going to say that.
You know, dog is mentioned in the Bible several times. Cat's not mentioned once. There's a reason for that. Cats are demonic.
Yeah.
That's a mic drop moment. Cats are demonic, like the person that took your parking spot.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, so you take what you know about dogs, especially from the ancient times, right? They ran in packs. They were always around garbage dumps. They carried diseases. Like this might be too harsh for some people, but we used to live in Honduras, and we did have a little puppy. And they came by one day, a group of men came by one day and said, hey, tomorrow make sure you keep your dog inside the house. And I said, why? He said, tomorrow's dog hunt day. And I'm like, what do you mean dog hunt day? And he said, well, we don't have dogs as pets. You have a dog because you're an American, right? He said, because we get the dogs shots and all this stuff. But there, the dogs hung out at the garbage dump, and they carried disease. And so the men would come through once a year, and any dog that was out, they would shoot it.
Euthanize
population control, basically.
Euthanize it.
Very
That's
good.
a nice way to say it. Nice way to say it. So that's Honduras. Okay, so you go back even further to ancient times. It was even worse then. And so you have this pack mentality. And how does that relate to humanity? Oh my goodness! You look at any media thing,
going back to what we talked about
any
at the
social
beginning.
media thing, and there's this pack mentality to it, where the disease of negativity is spread, and when you get two pack animals, when you get one person commenting negatively and caustically, and then somebody else of the same pack, oh man, I mean, it just grows.
It's a dog pile.
It's a dog pile.
It's a dog pile. There you go.
And then the pigs, same. All they do is sling mud and lay in the slop and all this stuff. Eat the slop.
And what I like about the pigs, when you come back to that, is
I'm there now. Go for it.
The pigs actually, they like to be in the mud. They enjoy being in the mud, because actually that's how they cool off. That's how they don't consider it being dirty. That's actually how they cool off, is the cool of the mud. So because that's how they don't sweat. So it's actually, it makes them feel good to be in the mud. So if you want to get down and dirty with the pigs, you can. It says, don't cast your pearls before swine. You've got what you carry, what the Holy Spirit has in you, what God has given you is precious.
Absolutely.
And what your life, your family, your gospel story, all of that is precious. And when you share that with somebody who's just used to being in the mud, they're probably just going to roll over it and go, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything to me because it's not my story. Well, they've got to come out of the mud to be able to realize that could also be their story. So if they're not willing to come out of the mud, it's just that's what they say, casting the pearls before swine. You're telling them these good things of God, but they're not willing to get out of their mud to actually come and hear those good things. And it's not doing any good. It's just it's wasteful. It's wasting your gospel story. It's wasting what you have.
So let me say this: you can break down all this stuff about dogs and pigs, and you could say, well, that's everybody at some point, right? That's everybody. So how do you tell the difference? Jesus said, it's the little words that he says that make such a big difference. He said, don't keep casting your pearls before swine.
Right.
Which means
he knows we're going to mess up.
So it's not perfection, but the deal is they've already had an opportunity.
Throw it out
Probably
there
more than once or twice or
Right.
3 times, whatever. But don't continue. Don't keep doing. If you keep getting this dog mentality or this pig mentality, man, stop.
If you keep doing that, they're going to set a boundary up for you.
Right?
Or a barricade.
A pig pen.
Yep.
You know, to say that.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add from yesterday or your notes today?
I don't
think we're
think
great.
so.
Okay, I think we hit all
That's
the
been
good
a lot.
questions. Yeah, it was quite a bit. I hope that you all got something really good out of this, as I know I did right here. We're available right now on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, everywhere else you stream your podcasts. I think the video is on Spotify, so you can watch it on there. So those are options for you. Be here Sunday. We got another one coming.
Be
another
here
one coming.
Sunday. We're going to be talking about prayer.
Ooh,
Ask, seek, and knock. And so that'll be fun. But before we sign off, can we just give a shout out to Rob Smith?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Rob
TAI.
Smith.
Producer
Yeah,
Rock,
TAI.
appreciate you.
Woohoo.
Thank you so much.
You can't see him, but he's looking very fine over here in the corner.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.